The villagers often whispered warnings about the jungle beyond the river. That forest belongs to spirits and beasts, they told the children. But 10-year-old Arka never listened. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. Every afternoon, after helping his mother, he would sneak toward the trees, chasing birds, watching monkeys leap, and gathering wild fruit. The forest felt alive, full of secrets waiting to be discovered. One day, as the sun dipped low and shadows stretched long, Arka heard a sound unlike anything before, a violent crash of branches, followed by a deep rumbling growl. His heart pounded. Slowly, he pushed through the bushes, and what he saw froze him in place. A massive tiger, its golden fur striped like fire, struggled in agony. A rusty steel trap clamped tightly around its paw, blood staining the leaves. The beast's roar thundered through the forest, shaking the ground beneath Arka's feet. Every instinct told him to run. But instead, he saw something in the tiger's eyes. Pain, not fury. Desperation, not rage. The boy trembled, torn between terror and pity. Swallowing hard, Arka picked up a long branch and stepped closer. The tiger's growl deepened, its teeth flashing in the dying light. Arka's knees buckled, but he forced himself forward. He jammed the branch into the trap and pushed with all his strength. The metal groaned. The tiger roared so loud that birds exploded from the treetops. For a moment, Arka thought it would kill him then and there. But with one final push, the rusty jaws snapped open. The tiger pulled free, panting, its paw bleeding but no longer chained. For a breathless heartbeat, it stood towering over the boy. Its eyes glowed, locking onto Arka's. The forest went silent. Then, without a sound, the great beast turned and vanished into the shadows of the trees. Arka collapsed to his knees, trembling. He had freed a predator, one that could have ended his life in an instant. And yet, deep inside, he felt something strange. Not fear, not relief, but a sense that this was not the end. Far from it. For days after freeing the tiger, Arka could not forget those glowing golden eyes. Every time he entered the forest, he felt them watching, silent, unseen, but always there. It was as if the beast had become his shadow. At first, Arka was afraid the tiger would return to harm him, but then something strange happened. One afternoon, while gathering fruit deep in the jungle, a wild boar burst from the undergrowth, its tusks sharp and furious. Arka stumbled back, certain it would gore him. Then a blur of orange and black exploded from the trees. The massive tiger struck with terrifying power, its roar shaking the ground. The boar squealed and fled, crashing into the forest. Arka froze, heart pounding, as the tiger turned its gaze on him. But instead of attacking, it lowered its head, almost as if to say, "You are safe now." From that day on, the boy and the beast shared an unspoken bond. Arka named him Arimbaaz, after the jungle itself. Rimba never let hunters, snakes, or wild dogs near the boy. He appeared whenever Arka was in danger, sometimes seen, sometimes just a flash of stripes in the distance. Arka began to speak to him, even though he knew Rimba could not answer. He told him about his dreams, about how he wanted to protect the forest instead of fear it. And though the tiger remained silent, its steady gaze felt like understanding. But peace in the forest did not last. Rumors spread through the village. A great tiger had been spotted near the fields at night. Goats were missing, and fear grew among the people. Whispers of hunters gathering their weapons reached Arka's ears. He knew they would not see Rimba as a protector. To them, he was only a monster. One night, as the drums of warning echoed from the village and torches lit up the dark horizon, Arka felt dread coil in his chest. The hunters were entering the forest, and Rimba was waiting somewhere inside. The forest burned with torchlight. Shouts of men and the barking of dogs shattered the night. Arka pushed through the undergrowth, his breath ragged, his heart pounding like a drum. He had to find Rimba before the hunters did. He stumbled over roots, thorns tearing at his legs, but he did not stop. Every crack of a branch, every echoing bark filled him with terror. The hunters were closing in. Somewhere in the darkness, Rimba was watching, unaware of the trap closing around him. At last, Arka reached a clearing. His worst fear became real. Rimba stood surrounded. 10 men with spears and bows circled the tiger, their torches casting long, dancing shadows across the beast's stripes. Rimba's paw, still scarred from the old trap, shifted uneasily as he growled, a sound that rumbled through the ground. "Steady!" one of the hunters barked. "Aim for the heart!" Arka's blood turned cold. He would not let them kill his friend. Without thinking, he rushed into the clearing. "Stop!" he cried, his small voice trembling yet piercing the night. The hunters froze in shock as the boy spread his arms wide, placing himself between their weapons and the tiger. "Arca, get away from there!" one shouted. But Arca shook his head, his eyes wet with tears. "No, he's not a monster. He saved me. He protects me. If you want to kill him, you'll have to kill me first." A stunned silence followed. Behind him, Rimba stood motionless, his golden eyes fixed on the boy. The tiger could have leapt, could have torn them all apart, but he didn't. He only stood, silent and waiting. The hunters hesitated. Their hands shook on their weapons. Never before had they seen such a thing. A child standing unafraid before a beast, and the beast choosing stillness over blood. At that moment, the elder of the village stepped forward, his torchlight flickering across his weathered face. His voice was calm but carried weight. "Lower your weapons. This forest is his home as much as ours." Reluctantly, the hunters lowered their bows and spears. The dogs were silenced. The air grew still. Arca's chest heaved with relief. He had protected his friend, but he knew the story was not yet over. For in the silent space between men and beast, a new decision had to be made. Would the jungle remain a hunting ground, or would it become a sanctuary? The clearing was silent, the tension thick as smoke. Torches flickered, casting broken light across the faces of hunters and the stripes of the tiger. Rimba stood tall, his golden eyes unblinking, his chest rising and falling like the rhythm of a drum. Behind him, Arca still spread his arms wide, refusing to move. The village elder stepped closer, his staff tapping against the earth. He studied the boy and the beast, his weathered face hard to read. Finally, he spoke. "This tiger could have killed us all, yet he did not. And this boy, he stands between us without fear." The elder turned to the hunters. "Do you not see? The jungle is not ours to conquer. It is to be shared. The tiger is not an enemy, but a guardian." Some of the hunters lowered their eyes in shame. One by one, spears and bows dropped to the ground. The dogs whimpered and fell silent. The flames of the torches no longer looked like weapons, but like stars guiding the night. Arca's legs trembled, but he stood tall. He turned his head slightly toward Rimba. The great beast lowered his head, stepping forward until his massive frame loomed behind the boy. Gasps rippled through the hunters. Yet Rimba did nothing, only pressed his muzzle gently against Arca's shoulder. Tears blurred the boy's vision. In that moment, he knew the bond between them was unbreakable. The elder raised his staff high. "From this day forward, no trap shall be set in the inner forest. This ground belongs to the wild. To hunt here is forbidden." His voice carried through the trees like a bow. Relief flooded Arca's chest. The hunters gathered their torches and departed, their shadows shrinking into the night until the clearing was still once more. Only Arca and Rimba remained. The boy turned, meeting the golden eyes that had haunted his dreams since the day of the trap. Slowly, Rimba bent down and licked the boy's trembling hand, a gesture not of hunger, but of trust. Arca smiled through his tears. "Thank you, my friend." Without a sound, Rimba slipped back into the darkness of the trees, his stripes blending with the shadows until he vanished. But Arca did not feel alone. He knew the tiger would always be there, a guardian in the night, a silent protector of the forest. To the villagers, Rimba would always be a legend. To Arca, he was something more, a friend worth dying for.